The Press Box presents Cage Side with Christopher James. What happens if you lose, Nick?
Who the hell's Aquaman?
I get Fruity Pebbles, Cocoa Pebbles, I get sausage biscuits. Maybe you guys will see a little footage of that later on because we got some good stuff.
Philip Producers. There you go, baby.
Hey, welcome to another edition of Cage Side with Christopher James. I am your host, Christopher James. Alongside me, as always, is my partner in crime, the one, the only, Dion DeLauder. Dion, what's up, brother?
How you doing, Chris?
I'm doing good, man. You know, and I gotta say, man, every week these shows just keep getting better.
Well, that's the goal for the fans out there, man. We want to bring you action-packed content from all the combat sports around your area, right to your TV.
So, you know, we're here today. I got some stuff. I went down to Boca Raton a couple weeks ago to the Beyond the Mat MMA Expo. A lot of great stuff down there, and I had a great interview with the man, the legend, the natural, the one and only, Randy Couture, man. Great interview with that guy. You guys are going to see that coming up a little bit later on. I also have a few other surprises in store, some other interviews, and a little bit of news for you guys. So, all I can say is stay tuned and Cage Side with Christopher James. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Michael Chavello. You're watching Cage Side with Christopher James.
Cage Side with Christopher James is brought to you by The Press Box and Eric J. Herman, attorney at law. And for stuff you didn't see on today's show, make sure you go to our Facebook page, Cage Side with Christopher James, for behind-the-scenes footage and a little bit of blooper stuff. Hey, while I was down at the Beyond the Mat MMA Expo in Boca Raton, Florida, I got to speak to a lot of cool people. One of the guys I got to talk to, we had him on the radio show a couple of weeks ago.
That's right.
His name is Alex Cacares, otherwise known as Bruce Leroy. Who's the master?
Show enough.
You know what I'm talking about. Bruce Leroy was on The Ultimate Fighter, and now he's fighting for the UFC all around the world. He's coming off a win, so here he is right now, our interview with Alex, Bruce Leroy Cacares. Hey, how you doing? It's Christopher James here for Cage Side with Christopher James, and I'm working with my good friends right here at Cage Junkies, man. They're my good buddies. They got a great MMA website. You should check them out for all kinds of good content. But right now we're hanging out here today with the man. Some of you know him as Bruce Leroy. The man's name is Alex Cacares. Alex, man, how are you, buddy?
Oh, I'm doing good, man. Nice to meet you. How you doing?
Hey, it's great to meet you, man. Had you on the radio show with us a couple of weeks ago on the Florida Combat Network, man. It was a good time. I told you I was going to get you on TV. Well, here I am, brother. So let's get right into it. First of all, you just had that recent fight over in Macau, man. You were all the way halfway around the world. Did you ever imagine yourself making it all the way around the world and fighting for the UFC in an event like that?
Definitely when I was younger, I definitely saw myself traveling the world, fighting around the world. I always had this vision of doing it, you know. I always told myself that by the age of 25, I will be in the UFC fighting around the world and stuff. I mean, I'm 24 now, and I'm doing it. And I made it to the UFC at a younger age than that, at the age of 21, so it just feels great. But definitely I saw myself doing it, and I kept reaching for that goal. And I'm touching it right now. I want to grab it, though.
Well, you're grabbing it, man. I mean, like you said, you're getting it done, man. You came into the Ultimate Fighter house, and from there, your whole career has just kind of blown up, man, exploded. I mean, it's like you said you wanted to be there by your 25. You're 24 now, so you're exceeding your own expectations. How does that make you feel?
It definitely makes me feel that we put our minds to something, we're definitely going to achieve it. We can really just set it up right there in the metaphysical realm of our heads and then physically manifest it with our bodies. It's an incredible feeling.
So what do you got coming up next?
I'm not entirely sure. They haven't called me yet, but whenever they give me the call, I'll be ready.
Now, you're here at the MMA Expo today, man. What brought you by? Just to hang out and see what's going on? You're going to grapple? You doing anything here today?
Oh, no, it's just they brought me back here to make an appearance, you know, just chill out with the fans, talk to them, take pictures, sign autographs, do interviews, whatever they have me out here to do. I'm just here checking it out, man.
Well, that's awesome, man. It's a lot of good stuff. Randy Couture's here. Alistair Overeem's going to be here. Guys, you know, UFC legends and you know, current superstars, man. So how would it make you feel to one day be recognized in the same, you know, notoriety class as somebody like an Alistair Overeem or a Randy Couture?
To me, it doesn't make a difference, you know. I know that if you do it right, they're going to recognize you, whatever. They're going to give you the glam and the glitz, but I can do without of it. I just like doing it, man. Just like doing it.
So you did the Ultimate Fighter house. You were definitely one of the most, how shall I say, recognized characters on the show. You definitely left your mark on that show. Tell me about the experience in the house and the best thing about being in the house.
The experience in the house was definitely the way I felt it was like camp for grown-ups, you know. The best experience of the house was definitely, everybody will agree with me, everybody that's ever been on that show is going to say the wish list.
And tell everybody at home what the wish list really is.
The wish list is a piece of paper, and you write anything on it, whatever you got.
Wait, hold on. You say anything?
Anything, whatever can come up in your wildest dreams and imaginations. You write it there down there in the wish list, and the next morning, I would say 85% of the chance it's going to be on that table.
Now, obviously, they're not going to give you a cell phone so you can make a phone call.
No, of course not. We can't have cell phones, no books, no magazines, no clocks, no TVs, no video games, and no board games, and basically nothing that we can play to ourselves or one-on-one with another person. They want us interacting with the whole group and in a way that we're probably going to cause trouble.
So what was the greatest thing you got on the wish list for yourself during your season?
Honestly, the food. Like, I was a hungry kid, and I just love ordering all the types of food that I wanted to eat there.
All right, well, listen, I appreciate you taking time to talk with us. Tell people at home how they can get in touch with you on Facebook and Twitter and all that stuff so they can follow you because you're an exciting young fighter.
Well, guys, you can catch me on @BruceLeroyGlow on Twitter or on Instagram. You can hit me up there. I'll talk to you, whatever. We can share pics and whatnot. But I saw I don't got a Facebook anymore, so you're going to have to go through one of those two. Thank you very much.
Why don't you have a Facebook? What happened?
It's too much
Drama?
yeah, too much drama and too much intrusion of privacy, you know.
I feel you, man. I feel you. Well, listen, man, you're a great up-and-coming fireman. It's an honor to sit here and talk with you and meet with you. Hey, everybody, right here, Bruce Leroy, Alex Cacares. I'm Christopher James, and you're Cage Side. What a great interview with Alex Cacares. Bruce Leroy. Leroy, who's the master? Sure enough. That's what I'm talking about. Dude, that was a great movie. One of my favorite movies of all time, The Last Dragon.
Last Dragon.
Barry Gordy. If you haven't seen it, you should definitely check it out. But anyway, back to what we're talking about. Alex Cacares, man. Great interview, great fighter, big things coming up in his career.
Hey, it was great to watch on the show. Very humble, very athletic. Threw a lot of people off with the yellow Bruce Lee outfit, but it's good to see he's still competing. We're looking for more big things from him.
And he has the best afro in MMA, bar none.
Hands down.
That's it. Walter's Press Box. Tampa's #1 sports bar for over 20 years. The Press Box, Tampa's favorite place to watch the big game and party. We show all the NFL games and every other major sporting event in the world, including MMA. .222 South Dale Mabry Highway, Tampa, Florida.
Come on down and see us at the press box.
Do you need a criminal attorney? Call Eric J. Herman, attorney at law. Non-attorney spokesperson. Today, in another edition of Things That Piss Me Off, I want to talk about the state of New York and the lack of sanctioned MMA in my home state. Now, it's the year 2012, and really it's almost 2013. And with the state of the fastest growing sport in the world moving at leaps and bounds, it pains me to see that my home state, New York, hasn't regulated MMA yet. The third largest state population-wise in the country. It's losing out on great fights, but most importantly, it's losing out on amazing revenue. Now, as far as I can see, revenue is needed by every city and state because this has got to be one of the worst economic times in United States history. Hotels, bars, car rental places, transportation, planes, trains, and automobiles, if you will, and not to mention all the restaurants, and most of all the state and cities where events would be held would reap the rewards of shows coming to town, but not just by the UFC 2 or 3 times a year. Other promotions like Bellator and the XFC would also bring shows to the state and would draw big numbers for the huge fan base of mixed martial arts fans that reside in the Empire State. Not to mention also some of the local, smaller regional promotions from around the area would come to New York and start doing shows as well. Now, the biggest rival to MMA in New York State is Assemblyman Bob Riley, the outspoken elected official who has used this argument since 2004 when he was elected to keep his name in the press and keep MMA out of the state of New York by making ridiculous claims like violence begets violence. Now, I gotta be honest, I don't know how this guy stays in office. Stating that violence begets violence is ridiculous. And it's basically saying that you people in New York the residents, his constituents, the voters, would go out and beat the crap out of each other just because they saw a cage fight on TV. Now, or better yet, they saw a cage fight live in the state of New York. Now, really, Bob, did you say that? I can't believe that. And if you're going to take that stance, why don't you go out there and criminalize boxing? It's the same concept. People punching each other in the face. So, oh my God, I saw a boxing event. Now I got to go run out and beat people up. Are there any stats to prove that that's true, Bob? I don't think so. My other contention is, who's responsible for all the violence in the state of New York prior to 1993 when MMA was born? People in New York, and I'm from there, have been beating the crap out of each other for years and centuries, and it doesn't matter that there's MMA or not, man. So do you have any stats to prove that because there's MMA on TV in New York now, people are beating each other up? Again, you can't prove any of that, Bob. The other argument that Bob Riley has made, he said, it's going to cost the state more to legalize MMA than it would generate in revenue. Now, Bob, that's really just ridiculous. How can you tell me that it's going to cost more money to regulate a sport that will pay for itself in the long run? You know, you have to license fighters, you have to license trainers, promoters, ring announcers, and a lot of people are involved with the sport. Plus, not to mention all the tax revenue that's going to be generated from hotel rooms, cars, planes, restaurants, everything. It's going to pay for itself. The only cost to the state of New York is they're going to have to hire a commission and not use the boxing commission. They have to hire an MMA commission, a separate entity that knows the sport of mixed martial arts. So, Bob, there's really no argument to stop MMA except that you just don't like it. And that's not good enough to keep it out of the state of New York and all the residents that want to have it there. So, Bob, Riley, jump on the train, get on board. It's MMA, it's coming your way. You can't stop it, and that's what pisses me off.
Do you need a criminal attorney? Call Eric J. Herman, attorney at law. Non-attorney spokesperson.
Stay tuned right here on Cage Side with Christopher James, because when we come back, it's our interview with the one and only Randy Couture.
What's up, guys? This is Uriah Faber, the California Kid, and you're watching Cage Side with Christopher James.
Walter's Press Box. Tampa's #1 sports bar for over 20 years. The Press Box, Tampa's favorite place to watch the big game and party. We show all the NFL games and every other major sporting event in the world, including MMA. .222 South Dale Mabry Highway, Tampa, Florida. Come on down and see us at the Press Box.
Well, we told you we were going to talk to him, and you know what? I think it's time. So without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen, here's my interview with the natural, the one and only
Randy Couture.
How you doing? I'm Christopher James for Cage Side with Christopher James. I'm here with my good friends at Cage Junkies, your #1 source for anything MMA on the web. Check them out at cagejunkies.com. We're here with the legend himself, the one and only Randy Couture at the Beyond the Mat MMA Expo right here at Florida Atlantic University in Boca Raton, Florida. First of all, Randy, it's an honor to meet you. How you doing?
Very good.
So what brought you out here to the Expo today?
Came out to teach a little seminar today and do an autograph signing for Beyond the Cage.
Yeah, I mean, there's a ton of people out there. You're just signing, and then there was one guy. He came up there with like 20 action figures, 10 tickets from a show. That guy's a fan.
Well, I don't know about that. He's probably a memorabilia hound, but the same guy showed up at the airport. How he knew when I was coming in, I don't know, but he had a bunch of stuff there last night when I flew in as well.
All right, you're right. Maybe he's not a fan. Maybe he's kind of a stalker, or like you said, a memorabilia hound. So anyway, so there's a lot of great artwork out there with you and on a motorcycle with the Captain America mask. What inspired that whole series with Eric that shot all that for you?
Actually, that was Eric Williams' brainchild. I've worked with Eric a bunch. He did the Fighters Only shoe with me and Chuck and Vanderlei Silva a few years back, and tremendously talented photographer. He's done a bunch of the magazine covers, and then this was kind of his idea to capture some iconic images of MMA, and he's got Anderson Silva, George St. Pierre, Chuck Liddell, a bunch of the top guys. So it was fun to work with him. He's done some other stuff for me as well. So he's tremendous photographer.
Now, out of all the photos out there, because I was looking around, like I said, there's you being the badass guy on the motorcycle. You got the Captain America. There's one with you throwing the ropes. Which one of those is your favorite right now?
I think the Captain America one is pretty interesting. He asked me to put that mask on, and then it was a hot day, had me kind of peeling it off, and I was like, man, this is kind of crazy, but obviously the photos turned out really cool.
Yeah, they really did. They're phenomenal photos. Now, let's talk about some MMA stuff going on right now. The UFC is doing some crazy stuff right now. John Bones Jones and Chael Sonnen are going to be fighting for the 205 title. And Chael Sonnen hasn't been in that weight division since 2006. He's no doubt about the undisputed king of smack talk in MMA. What's your take on him fighting in that division that you once held the title in yourself?
Oh, I think he's more than qualified and capable of competing at that weight. He cuts quite a bit of weight to make 185, so I think he's taken a little of the pressure off himself moving up a weight class to 205 and not cutting quite as hard. I think obviously with Danny being hurt and having to cancel that whole show, and Chael kind of stepping up at the last minute and willing to fight Jones on 10 days notice, kind of put him in this position where he's going to get taken care of for stepping up basically and trying to save that show. Nobody sells a fight better than Chael. So at the end of the day, it's a business decision. It's going to make for some great TV having those two guys as coaches on The Ultimate Fighter, and ultimately it'll be a great fight.
Now, do you think it's cool that Dana White and the UFC, catapulted him into the #1 contender spot to sell that show, to save the show because Tough has been suffering on the ratings, and to sell that pay-per-view? Or do you think somebody like Alexander Gustafsson, who's been working his way through the ranks and is kicking butt, should have gotten a shot first, in your opinion?
I don't think it matters. I think there's 10 guys there that could be made a case for having the #1 contender status. I think at the end of the day, it's a TV show, it's a business decision. Chael certainly competed at a very, very high level, both at 205 and at 185. He's a contender, and so whether or not he deserves it's for somebody else to decide. I think he's certainly capable of winning that fight. I think he has the particular style that's going to be tough for Jones to deal with, a la Anderson Silva. I think Anderson and Jones have very similar styles. They're strategic strikers, long, rangy guys, and if you stand around in front of them, it's probably going to be a long night for you. If you wade through them, a la Chael and the first Anderson fight, and get in their face and make it ugly, grind them out, I think he can win that fight.
Now, they're talking about all these super fights as well. GSP versus Anderson Silva, or Anderson Silva versus John Bones Jones. Which one of those super fights do you think is really the one that should happen?
Should happen? I mean, who's to say should? I don't know. I think they're both interesting matchups. I think because of the fact that Anderson has fought at 205 before, it makes more sense, I think, for Anderson to go up and fight at 205. It's really up to George whether he wants to try and foray up to 185. He's going to be giving up a lot of size, a lot of weight. It'd be hard for him to put on real mass and real weight to compete at 185. He certainly walks around at that when he's not in top fight shape, but that's a little bit different than actually competing at that weight class. So it'd be interesting. They're both great technical matchups. I think they would be interesting fights.
Is there any one of those fights that you particularly as a fight fan would want to see over the other one?
Over the other one? I think they'd both be interesting. I don't know that one would be any more interesting than the other. I think seeing two guys with similar styles like Jones and Silva would be interesting. I think that George would probably take Anderson down and make him fight from his back for as much of the fight as he could. If I was trying to establish an approach for Anderson Silva, that's the way I would approach him if I was George St. Pierre and had the transition skills that he has.
Now, we're going to move off of those fights, and I want to talk about you with your movie career. You've done The Expendables 1, which I thought was awesome. I just saw Expendables 2 for the first time the other day, which I liked even more. So is there anything else coming up on the movie career for you, Mr. Couture?
Yeah, I'm getting ready to start a movie called Rush with Dolph Lundgren. We start shooting in LA the 5th of December. It's a cop movie, and I play a pretty nasty character in this one, so it's going to be a lot of fun.
So you're not playing a cop, or are you playing a cop gone bad?
I'm playing a cop, but not a good cop.
Hey, that's okay. There's not really a lot of good cops. No, I'm just kidding. There's all kinds of good cops out there. It's just a joke. So How's it been transitioning over into the movie world? Is it something that you enjoyed like a lot, or did you enjoy fighting more?
Well, I'll always be a fighter, but I'm also a pretty rational individual and realize I can't fight forever. So I'm very intrigued with the process of making movies and acting, and I've been doing that for about 7 years now. I've been in 17 pictures now, and this will be my 18th coming up, and trying to learn more, trying to develop more skills and figure out, how to generate real emotion. And at the end of the day, you got to find a way to tell the truth, relate to the character in a way that allows you to tell the truth. And that's a challenge. It's not easy. So looking forward to this character coming up. He's a little outside the box for me to play kind of a genuinely really nasty, gnarly guy. I'm looking forward to the challenge.
So 18 films this is for you. I didn't even know you did that. I know you've done I saw 4 or 5 movies that you've been in, but I had no clue, and I'm a fan. So when did you do all these movies that I missed?
Well, they started 7 years ago. First one was Cradle to the Grave with Jet Li and DMX, and it was my first time on a set. Had one line in the movie. A lot of those early films were, one-liners, thug roles, kind of fighter roles. Nothing too special that you would really remember, probably. Obviously, Scorpion King 2 was a big step up for me, getting to kind of carry the lead antagonist in that movie, and things started getting better from there. I got a real agent in Gersh and started taking some classes and I got a coach that I work with regularly to kind of figure out how to relate to these characters. So it's a lot of fun.
Well, that's awesome. I love watching on screen and watching in the cage. Now, the question I got for you now is there any fight out there that would get you to come back into the cage?
Well, I jokingly always say, if Steven Seagal wants to sign, I'd come out of retirement to fight him, but I don't think that's very realistic, and I'm pretty content and happy with the decision I made. I went out on my own terms, and I think it was the right time.
Well, that's cool. Now, your son fights Strikeforce, and apparently the demise of Strikeforce is about to happen. January supposedly is the last show, although Zuffa hasn't announced it officially yet. So what's up next for your son? Because I know you're involved in his career.
Well, he's fighting January 12th in Oklahoma City. He's fighting KJ Noons, very wily veteran competitor, so it's a great fight for Ryan. I like the style matchup for him. It'll be interesting, and after that we'll see what happens. Nobody really knows, so we'll get ready for that one, go out there and have a good night, peak at the right time. And Ryan's doing a fantastic job. He's a very slick submission guy. He's a good solid wrestling base, but he's added some really, really good striking to go with that. So he's becoming a strong, well-rounded mixed martial artist.
Awesome. Now, I want to ask you this, and I'm going to let you get out of here. What do you think the current state of MMA is now? Based, this past November, it's been, 20 years basically since the UFC did their first show. Where do you see the sport going over the next 20 years from your point of view, being one of the guys that's the legend that brought it to where it is today?
Well, obviously we have this huge vehicle in Fox Sports with FX and Fuel TV. The 3 networks create a lot of outlets for shows. A lot of new young fighters getting a chance to compete and to foray in and make a living at mixed martial arts. Obviously, a much more global approach to the sport than we've ever had before. We've got fights in Australia, Dubai, all over Europe, and new Ultimate Fighters as sort of a proving ground or farm league for new talent with the Ultimate Fighter in Brazil. It looks like one's going to start up in India. They have the UK Ultimate Fighter, and of course the American version, which was the original. So a ton of opportunity for a lot of young up-and-coming fighters, this kind of third generation of fighter that didn't really care about a belt or a background. This is what they wanted to do. So I think it just continues to solidify itself as a bona fide combative sport for this generation.
That's awesome. Well, Randy, thank you for taking the time. I definitely appreciate it. That guy's got a mean grip right there. He'd probably break my hand. I appreciate everything you do for the sport, man, because you're one of the guys that made the sport what it is today, and everybody out there definitely appreciates it. So for the legend Randy Couture, I'm Christopher James, your Cage Side. And don't forget to check out our good friends at Cage Junkie. These guys bring you all the best MMA news. Walter's Press Box, Tampa's #1 sports bar for over 20 years. The Press Box, Tampa's favorite place to watch the big game and party. We show all the NFL games and every other major sporting event in the world, including MMA. .222 South Dale Mabry Highway, Tampa, Florida.
Come on down and see us at the press box.
Do you need a criminal attorney? Call Eric J. Herman, attorney at law. Non-attorney spokesperson.
Man, that was another great edition of Cage Side with Christopher James, Dion. I got to tell you. Got to hang out with Randy Couture, bro.
Very cool, man. He's a great dude. Very humble, very down to earth, and now he's a movie star. So who knows where his future is going to be?
Who knows, man? But I don't care about any of that because you know what? I got to hang out with him. He was so cool, dude. He really was. Highlight of my interviewing career right now is talking with Randy Couture.
Nice.
Yeah, so we had some other great stuff, man. I'm glad you guys tuned in with us. Make sure you always check out Cage Side with Christopher James. You can check out our website at mymmashow.com. You can also follow us on Twitter at mymmashow. If you want to leave us a message, tell us anything you want to see on the show, hit me up at the email at chris@mymmashow.com or dion@mymmashow.com. Don't forget, you can also check us out on the radio right here in the Tampa Bay area or online, the Florida Combat Network, 98.7 The Fan, CBS Sports Radio in Tampa, or check us out online at
FloridaCombatNetwork.com.
That's right. For my good friend Dion DeLauder, I'm Christopher James, your Cage Side.
Walter's Press Box, Tampa's #1 sports bar for over 20 years. The Press Box, Tampa's favorite place to watch the big game and party. We show all the NFL games and every other major sporting event in the world, including MMA. (222) South Dale Mabry Highway, Tampa, Florida.
Come on down and see us at the press box.
Do you need a criminal attorney? Call Eric J. Herman, attorney at law. Non-attorney spokesperson. What happens if you lose, Nick?
Who the hell is Aquaman?
I get Fruity Pebbles, Cocoa Pebbles, I get sausage biscuit. Maybe you guys will see a little footage of that later on because we got some good stuff.
Go up the deuces. There you go, baby.